We are your Colorado real estate family, Chelsea and Pete Sweeney, and we have been talking a lot about Thornton, all of its future development. Well, today we're going to be talking about whether or not the market is trending alongside it.
All right, let's go. I feel like these market update videos are more critical than ever because in the past what we've always done when comparing like year over year, even month to month, it was always like, all right, how much did it go up this year, right? It kept going up more and more. You still had more buyers in the market. You had more houses selling, whereas now with interest rates going up the way that they have, this has changed the market so much, and we're seeing something that's a little bit more stagnant. If you stick around to like the middle, maybe the end of this video, I'm gonna go over year what we're looking at with median sales price in Thornton from 2022 over to 2023.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really wanted to point out is, we know that Thornton is blowing up.
Yeah.
So does that mean that we're starting to see people buy more in Thornton? Are we seeing people choose Thornton over other cities? And the best way to look at that is obviously looking at market analysis. So the three things that we like to look at typically is how many things are active on the market. We like to look at how many days things are staying on the market, as well as new listings, because new listings shows us that the market is kind of starting to trend upward. And we were a little afraid that we weren't going to see this same trend that we usually do because of the interest rates. Like usually, what is the hot time during?
Let's go all the way back to 2021, where usually what it is you hit like the end of February, beginning of March, you really start to see that market pick up. And that's where we're kind of trending this year from what it's looking like. Chelsea will dive into the numbers and see what that really looks like. Where last year was insane because there was all this controversy about, hey, guess what? Interest rates are going to be going up. So as soon as January hit, boom, it just like freaking hit. And everyone was purchasing like crazy last January. So if we see that these numbers in the beginning of the year are a little bit higher than that, it's actually a good position to kind of be in, as long as it's not super hyper inflated like we've seen these last few years.
Okay, so let's dive a little bit into those numbers because that's really going to tell us. Now, I'm not going to pretend to remember all these numbers. I'm going to be looking down here for a minute. We'll try to pop up some kind of visuals for you guys. But if we're looking at Thornton just from this year, so starting in January and coming into, we're already in March now, so we're going to go through February. So one of the things that we look at is active listings. Active listings in January was 155. In February, it's 133. Now, that doesn't tell us a clear story. What it really does tell us is how many are under contract. So from January, it's like 129, and now it's 143 in February, showing that houses are going under contract. They're not just being listed. Now, as far as new listings, there are still an uptick in that as well. So January is 111, where in February it's 121. So again, we're seeing more listings come on the market, more things going under contract. So that is a very good sign going from January to February, especially because these aren't onesie twosies. We are going up by 20s and 30s and 40s. So the other thing is days on the market. Days on the market is actually interesting. So since we've had the hot season last year, we have seen days on the market increase slowly. Well, in January, it was 46. In February, it's 52. So we're still seeing houses stay on the market, even though we are seeing more things go under contract. So I don't know how that'll change as we start getting into spring, but a lot of our clients and a lot of you watching have said, hey, Chelsea, you're right. Like, so many more things are coming on market. They're all, they're starting to get excited because they're having more to choose from, but we are seeing things that are staying on the market a little longer, which are still giving us that buying power, some negotiation things, which is kind of Peter's specialty. We are still, that's kind of that sweet spot, more listings, but still staying on the market for a minute of time. That's going to give us a lot of power in negotiation.
And so here's kind of what I'm thinking on the expert side of things with real estate. I think the reason that when we hit into February, we saw more days on market is there were some of these realtors who are like, hey, guess what? In 2022 beginning, houses really started to launch off in January, and so they were probably listing in December, even November, planning on that to hit, and it didn't hit the way that they did. So then we hit into February and we're like, all right, houses on are a little bit longer than January was, where January, maybe you're getting those houses that were listed more in October and those later on fall months. So this is kind of what I'm thinking is people are like, you know what, let's see if it hits in January, we'll see what happens with it. And so now we're starting to sell a little bit more houses in February. Ultimately, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this month to month to really see what this market does. Possibly interest rates come down this summer. That's what they're saying. We don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict that. No one can, right? It's just like predicting the stock market. We don't know what's going to happen. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this month after month. That way, when we're constantly helping you guys out, we have a good idea of, hey, guess what? There's not too many buyers. We have these houses that are staying on a little bit longer. Where are our negotiation powers?
So the things that we've talked about so far have been single family. And again, we do have a lot of single family in Thornton, but we do still have, especially some of the newer development, is going to be that condo, townhouse, or attached housing. So if we break into the other type of housing with condos, townhouse, and the attached housing, it's going to be a little different in Thornton because we don't actually have that much of that type of product in comparison to other cities, but we did see something very significant. So as far as active listings, in January it was 37, in February it was 38, okay, not that different. When we start going into new listings, 28 in January, 41 in February. So we're seeing double new listings of this kind of attached condo, townhouse style of living. Then if you look at sold, same thing, 21 in January, whereas 30 in February. So we are seeing big leaps, even though a lot of Thornton is single family housing, we're seeing this become a little bit more of a popular trend.
And so I think one thing to note on the attached housing is the trend that we are seeing is that since interest rates are a little bit higher, it's moving a lot of buyers into a different product, right? Where before they were shopping for that single family, and now they're like, you know what, now I'm gonna look at that attached. We really need to keep an eye on how scarce that item's gonna be, because now you have, you know, your two different groups where you had attached and then detached, and you have a lot of those detached now going into the attached. You have this large group of buyers in that attached housing. How scarce is that housing gonna be? Are we gonna start getting a buyer's market in the attached, but not in the detached?
The other thing too is pairing that with our last video. If you haven't gone to check out our last video where we talked about what is new in Thornton, what's going on up here, go check that out. We will put a link somewhere up above, but go check that out because one of the big things that we saw with the new development is we are getting a lot more of that product. And I think a lot of that is because Thornton knows that we are going to need some of that more attached housing style. And so a lot of these new developments that we talked about in that video do include the, condos above kind of the retail space or restaurant style living, or they'll have attached housing, just north of Highway 7. So those are the things that we're seeing kind of jump up in listings and sold, and they're also going to be some of the big things that we're seeing in development.
Let's break into that median sales price. We're going to be comparing February of 2022 to February of 2023. February of 2023, your median sales price was just a little bit over $557,000. Back in 2022, it's $589,000. That is actually down 5.5%. Now that is only your single family product. What are we looking at? Looking at the attached product, your condo, townhouse, and row home. On the attached side of things, your median sales price in February of 2023 was $385, just almost. It was like $384,950, right around there, but I'm just gonna round up on that one. If we're going back to 2022 February, you're looking at a median sales price of just over $408, and that is actually down 5.8%. So we are going down. That's why we need to keep an eye on what happens month to month, because will that number start to pick up as we are starting to get more buyers into the market? Will that start to create a buyer's war? I don't think we'll quite get there just because of the interest rates, just because there still isn't as many buyers as there were, say, in 2022. But we still want to keep an eye on this to really see what happens. If those interest rates do drop this summer like they're expecting back into like the low mid fives, that might create a little bit more of a buyer's war. So that's why it's so important that you guys follow along with this. If you are enjoying this content and you do want to follow along, can you do us a huge favor? Hit that subscribe button, notification bell. That way you do keep updated to the latest info with not only Thornton, but all the other cities that we cover in the Denver metro area. If you are planning on purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, give us a call on the phone number right below right there. Give us a call or text. Doesn't matter day or time.
I do think that if we're answering the question, with this new development, are we trending the same with real estate? I think we're in this really rare spot where we are going to have lower prices because of the interest rate, but we are going to start seeing the desire grow. And I think we might be in that kind of that little valley of right before we start seeing things change.
Yep.
And I think it will be guided by interest rates.
Again, it goes back to the whole game of prediction, right? So it's like a lot of people that we talk to, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna wait and see what happens with these interest rates. I'm gonna wait to see if prices drop even more, but then what happens if they don't? What's to say that prices don't steadily start going up and then your interest rates start going up a lot more? Now you're paying more for the house and you're also paying more for an interest rate. So right now we know it's a great time to buy. Yes, interest rates aren't where they were this time last year, but still you're getting your houses for a little bit cheaper with a lot more concessions in place so you can get that furnace done, the roofing done, even have the seller buy down that rate for you temporarily in order to get that interest rate a little bit lower to kind of see what the interest rates do.
All right, we just talked about kind of the development and real estate. How is it trending? Are they correlating? If there's any other questions you have around the real estate market or just Thornton in general, feel free to comment down below. We do these videos for you.
And of course, guys, if you are planning on relocating into the beautiful state of Colorado, give us a call or text and phone number right below, right there. We answer those calls. Doesn't matter day or time. Until next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.